Welcome back, everybody, to Bats and Stats presented by ScoutTheStatline.com. I am, as always, Brian, my compadre, Ross Jensen, and we got a special guest tonight. The doctor is in the house, Ryan Epperson. How you doing, Ryan?
Wonderful, wonderful.
You look
you
good.
Have to call him not Doc. Not Doc.
Surgical assistant. Yeah, clinical surgical assistant, Ryan Epperson. And I guess I can't call you Doc now because here's a little bit of a tidbit that's coming down the pipeline is we have a new writer on board as well at Scout the Statline. Am I right on this? And his name's Doc.
He is Doc. Yeah,
he is Doc. So I can't call you Doc now. So that really sucks. That's okay. We can go surgical assistant. We'll do SA Ryan. How's that?
Perfect.
SA Ryan.
SA.
So
yeah,
SA Ryan. So tonight, guys. Tonight we've already burned through the catchers. We've burned through the first baseman. Tonight we are bringing you second basemen's. Top 10 second basemen by ScoutTheStatline.com. I'm excited about this group. Second base is kind of a black hole pit as far as the major league system is concerned. So these guys might be shining a bright future on what we got at second base. So could be a lot of value here, fellas. I'm pretty excited.
This is an interesting list. It's an interesting one. There's some surprises on here, which I always find fun. And there's some interesting, notable omissions as well.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about Connor Norby. We're not going to talk about Nick York. We're not going to talk about Justin Foscue or Nick Gonzalez or Oslavis Basabe, among others.
Man, it hurts my heart not to talk about Foscue. I am a Foscue lover. I got him. I think I got him in every single league that I'm in. I have to have Foscue.
I tell you, Norby and York were both very close to the top 10. But as I was going through, I was really validating positions, and there's some interesting names that popped up that took their places. So we'll see if that turns out to be the truth.
Okay, well, without further ado, I mean, we've already been talking for a couple minutes here, and we haven't even talked about our beers, and that is uncalled for. Absolutely uncalled for. So, would you like me to go first? Ryan, are you just drinking some Blue Dolphins?
Just water, good night.
Blue Dolphins. You got to hydrate, especially on Mondays. So, I'll go first. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go first. Tonight, fellas, and ladies and gentlemen, everybody listening around the world, I have. Here we go. It just says IPA, but it's by Goose Island, and that's a little bit of a. I have three of them.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing. I have three of them. So, what do goose turn into as a plural? Geese.
Geese.
We'll get there. We will get there.
All right, Goose Island IPA.
Yep. It doesn't have a cool name, just IPA. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm sure it's going to be delicious.
All righty. Nice thick head. You need that. Big gulp. All right. All right. What's the verdict?
It's a great IPA. If you don't like IPAs, you're not going to like that beer. If you like IPAs, it's going to be terrific. Very hoppy, of course. Straightforward hops, right in your mouth. They punch you in the face with hops. I like it. It's an acquired flavor. If you don't like IPAs, it'll take like 15 of them before you're like, okay, these are pretty good. I like it.
15. That's a night's work.
I mean, in general, when you can't take a sip of an IPA right off the bat and say, wow, I'm going to fall in love with IPAs. It's an acquired taste. It's probably Ryan probably knows that you're a big bourbon and Scotch and stuff like that, right? So it takes a while to get that taste in your mouth before you say, "Wow, that's really good." Yeah. Matter of fact, I went down to kind of a hoity-toity restaurant here in Billings this weekend and had an old-fashioned and a Manhattan.
There you go.
Man, we sat there for 3 hours just kind of bullshitting, talking, having a good time. I only had one Manhattan and one old-fashioned. Yeah. And I could have drank my weight in beer in 3 hours. Like, it would have been no problem.
Perfect.
Yeah, I sipped on them all night. They were terrific. They were great flavored. So I might be transitioning just a little bit into some bourbons. I'm gonna have to call Ryan and ask him about some bourbons and stuff to drink. Or maybe I'm gonna have to find some stuff up here in Billings and then send them to him. I don't know yet.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, good beer. Goose Island IPA. Geese Island. Ross, go ahead, get your beer in, man.
We'll get there. Okay. So here's my beer tonight. It's got a nice artistic can here. That's somebody saying hello. This is called, I got to make sure I don't go out of the screen here. This is called Personal Space. Now what's going on the back end? There's kind of like a zombie thing coming after her. Personal Space. Okay, so this is from Anchorage Brewing Company. It's a triple India Pale Ale. So we're doing the IPAs tonight. I don't think I've ever had a triple IPA. So this is uncharted territory for me. It says it's brewed with DDH with Phantasm Powder, Nelson Sauvin, and Sabro hops. So those are 3 different hop variants. I anticipate this is going to be maltier rather than hoppier because of all the hops. Typically, that's what happens when you get a double IPA. So I'm assuming with the triple, it's going to be more so. Let's check it out.
What does a double IPA mean?
So it's, as far as I understand, it's brewed with twice as many hops, but typically the fermentation process is longer or something, and so it ends up being maltier because I don't know. I don't know enough about brewing to talk about this with much authority, but as far as I understand, is there's more sugars that are processed in them in the process of brewing a double. All right. It's lighter than I was anticipating. Let's try it out.
Looks like something I would love.
That's very hazy, huh?
Yeah.
That is really good. And not at all really very hoppy. So definitely more maltier than you would expect from, an IPA in general. But yeah, it hit the note as I expected. This is 10%. It's a strong one.
Nice.
It's a strong one. So let's get it going.
Good stuff. I'm assuming it's Alaska. You said Anchorage, right?
Anchorage Brewing Company.
Guessing that's Alaska.
Gotta be.
Anchorage. This says Anchorage right there. Anchorage Brewing Company.
I believe Goose Island. Oh, Goose Island is in Chicago, Illinois, Baldwinsville, New York, and Fort Collins, Colorado.
Boy, I tell you, this is a good beer, though. I heartily recommend this. This is easy to drink too, which means it's going to be dangerous.
Nice.
At 10%, does not at all taste boozy. Not very bitter. Like that's going to be a dangerous one.
Good. The only Ross I like is a tipsy Ross.
All right, Brian, how do we get this thing started?
Well, we're going to jump right into it. You already did our omits. Some guys that just missed out on the list that would have been fun to talk about. But we got 10 guys that I'm excited to talk about, and we're going to blow right into it right now. Oh, well, actually, before we do that, we've already got through Thanksgiving. We are only a week and a half? Yeah, week and a half, a couple days till Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah,
I gotta say. Halloween is my favorite holiday. I kind of get juiced up for it because of the kids. But my second favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. I'm an eater. I like to eat all kinds of. I mean, just put it all on a plate and let me scramble it together, and just shovel it in my mouth. My wife is not that way. My wife has to have everything separated. Nothing can touch. Not me, man. I'm piling it together. I'm just a garbage disposal when it comes to food. And I am a foodie. I like that stuff. Do you guys have big plans? Is it just family stuff? What do you guys got going?
So I'll go first, but Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Nice.
And we tend to do more friends-focused Thanksgivings than we do direct family sort of Thanksgivings, at least over the last, 5 years or so. It's kind of what we've done. But this year, I'm thinking that it's going to be pretty low-key for me. I'm probably just going to be me and the kids. I do have kids. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before on here, but I do have kids, and we're going to do Thanksgiving locally. We might have some friends coming to town. It'll be fun.
Nice. Yeah, I like Thanksgiving, too. Don't really do a whole lot anymore. Parents live near me, but they visit my sister in North Carolina around this time. So, just keep it small. Enjoy the time off.
Yeah, for sure.
That sounds nice.
One more thing about Thanksgiving, and I might get bashed a little bit on this, but I hate turkey. I hate turkey.
What? You just ruined it, man.
Oh, no.
Turkey's the best.
No, I have a ham.
You do hams? Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
He's a ham
Give me
guy.
that salted ham, baby. And I'm gonna use it as the vessel. Like, I'll make tacos out of the ham and just put mashed potatoes and crab salad and everything on there. Yeah.
You could have at least said, you roast a huge ribeye or something. I don't know.
I won't say that I hate ham, but it's like chicken to me. It's like
turkey.
Chicken.
You mean?
What's that? Or turkey?
You
I'm
like
sorry.
ham, right? Okay.
I love ham. Turkey. It's like chicken to me. Whatever kind of if you inject it or if you whatever you do with it, it tastes like the spices that you put on it. It's such a neutral flavor to me. I'm just not a big fan.
Have you ever had a fried turkey?
Yeah, we do one every year.
And still
Yeah.
You're not blown away by it? Oh, man.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of fried turkey.
Really? Oh,
Nah.
man. So juicy and delectable.
Yeah. So do you guys have favorite side dishes? Because that's what it's all about, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a mashed potatoes guy. Like, mashed potatoes is my thing. I got to have perfect, creamy mashed potatoes. That's my one deal. I love stuffing, too. I mean, I love it all, but, like, those are the important ones for me.
I'm a big fan of green bean casserole.
That's mine too.
Canned green beans, cream of mushroom soup.
Yep, that's mine too. With the fried onion straws on top.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm all about the green bean casserole.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, and then I'm a pie guy too. I love pies.
Yeah.
Any kind of pie. It doesn't matter what kind of pie. I'm crushing it. I hate cake, but I'm crushing it.
I hate pumpkin.
No, pecan, yeah, give it to me.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
You can only have a little bit, though.
Sweet.
It's not my favorite of the types of pies, but yeah, I'm good with it. I don't know. A good cherry pie is good. Apple pie is good. They're all good. Yeah, they're all good.
My uncle makes a banana cream pie that is.
There you go.
It's unreal. And he has the meringue on top, and he toasts it.
Pumpkin pie is trash, though.
I like pumpkin pie. You don't like pumpkin pie?
I have to have one every year.
I'll have a piece, but I'll just pile Cool Whip on top.
Yeah.
So you can't see it.
We should just do a top 10 of Thanksgiving side dishes.
Yeah, forget second baseman.
Okay.
Top 10 pies. Top 10 pies.
There you go. I apologize. I'm getting off on that tangent, but it needed to happen. Ross said it's his favorite holiday. Ryan, it sounds like it's up there for you as well. And it's my second favorite holiday. So it needed to happen. We had to have that little debate there right for a second. But let's dive into it. Let's get into the top 10 second basemen on scoutthestatline.com. The first one we're going to jump into is a personal favorite of mine. He was kind of a discovery of our league for me. And his name is Hao Yu Lee. And Hao Yu Lee is 5'9", 190 pounds. He's 20 years old. He came out of New Taipei, Taiwan. And his profile's good. Let's put it that way. It's good. It's not going to blow you out of the water, but let's run through it here real quick. I'm going to lump it all together. If you guys want to break it down year by year, you certainly can, but I'm going to lump it all into the 607 at-bats that he's had over 3 years since 2021. He's got 607 at-bats. His average is 282. On-base percentage of 376, slugging 432 with an on-base plus slugging of 808. He has 16 home runs, 30 stolen bases. He has been caught 12 times. He has struck out 137 times and walked 79, 31 doubles, and 6 triples. I am a huge fan of him. I think he's only just scratching the surface. I've read a lot about him. Things that have been said is he's not a speed guy. The 30 steals that he does have are kind of not a farce, but maybe inflated a little bit. Yeah, it's telling that he's been caught 12 times. But I think he's got good power, not great power, but to 10, 15 home runs a year, maybe a little bit higher than that, and a 280 average. I'm super excited for him, and he did get traded to my Tigers. I'm super excited. Do you guys have anything on Hao Yu Lee?
So I'll take the first stab at it. He was one of our top 10s last year.
Yep.
I was looking for a big breakout this year that I don't think we got, and actually, I would probably characterize it as a somewhat disappointing season. He started out repeating high A after finishing there last year, and he stayed there through the whole season. And that's part of why I feel like it was a somewhat disappointing year. He does have really good plate discipline. I think there is some decent power in there, even though he only had 6 home runs this year and about a half a season's worth of plate appearances. I think there is a little bit more juice there that he can tap into. As you mentioned, speed is probably not going to be a big part of his game. He's projecting for, you said 10 to 15 home runs, and he's projecting for 11, so right there. But the plate discipline is the thing that really is carrying the profile, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If I were to add anything else, it's that he gets a comp on STS to Aaron Boone, which I think is a really nice comp. And if he has that kind of outcome, obviously that's somebody you want on your team.
Yeah. So I prefaced the whole segment that we're doing tonight on second baseman being a pretty big black hole in the MLB. And I think Hao Yu Lee with this profile would boost that profile immensely. I think he would be a starter instantly for the Tigers in 2 years. But the Tigers don't just have Hao Yu Lee. They have some other players on their farm. One that we're going to talk about tonight that, might block him a little bit. But Ryan, do you have anything on Hao Yu Lee that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, I like Ross. I think he has a little bit more power potential than he has shown so far. It looks like he's not pulling the ball nearly enough, especially in the air. Obviously, if you can get to that, then you can, like you said, 10, 15 home runs. I can see him hitting eventually. But I mean, he's not that great of a fielder. I think he's going to have a tough time breaking through.
Sure.
Because if he doesn't play second, he doesn't have the arm for third or short. Then you're looking at corner outfielder, and that's the profile doesn't play well in the corner outfield spot. Yeah. But it's the Tigers, so who knows? But
that was a jab.
Well, I think we've talked about this before. I've picked the Tigers to win the AL Central in 24, so I guess I'm not too low on them.
Yeah.
But no, he's still really young. So I mean, 20 years old, and he's coming over. He's only been in the States for what, 2 years. Most of it was during COVID. So I'm willing to give him a chance.
And you said it perfectly right there. He's 20 years old. He'll be 21 on February 3rd, 2024. We might be seeing double A stats next year as a 21-year-old.
Yeah,
matter of fact, I think that's a given. We're going to see double A stats.
I'll get to go see him. I'm right there in Erie, so.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
I would love to hear a breakdown on Hao Yu Lee. I'm a fan. But I want to hammer this home. I think he's a good player. I do not think he's a great player. Not yet, at least. He could certainly surprise me. I think he's a solid all-around player.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that he has dropped a little bit in these rankings, these top 10 rankings from last year, which isn't a great sign, but also he's still in the top 10.
He's still,
yeah.
Algorithm sees something.
To me,
right.
For me, he's a go-get him. And I say that because I think he's an everyday MLB player. I think he's just going to be solid. He's going to hurt your team. He's not going to quite help your team, but he's not going to, beat it up. For me, he's a go get him. You guys, I'm sure you're kind of a watch and see.
He's not going to cost too much. So in fact, you could call him maybe a buy low potential, but don't give up an asset to gain a question mark. That's my stance on it.
No, he's the perfect guy for a throw-in that you need. Yeah. Just to push it over the top, right? And I love going after the guys like that.
Yeah. I like that. That's a really good comment as a throw-in player, and a valuable throw-in player.
Because what the other owner is going to do is he's going to go to Fangraphs and look at, he's in high A again and didn't hit as well as last year. You can most of the time snag somebody pretty cheap like that.
Yep.
Agreed. Love it. All right. Let's dive into number 9. Number 9 is going to be a little bit of an unknown for me. He not an unknown, but he's just not somebody that I've kept my eye on as much as I should have. But that is Juan Brito. Juan Brito is 5'11", 202 pounds. He's 22 years old with the Cleveland Guardians. He was born 9/24 in 2001 in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. I'm going to let you guys break this down. Ross, would you like to break down the stats on this one?
Sure. Yeah, so Juan Brito started his career actually going back in 2019 at the DSL level at age 17. Showed really good plate discipline, walking more than he struck out. Really good numbers across the board. Again, it's DSL, so I don't put a ton of stock into that. He followed that up after the COVID break in 2021 at the rookie level, again putting up solid numbers, really good plate discipline, which is one of his calling cards. I'm just going to call that out. Only 3 home runs, 5 stolen bases. Then last year walking more than he struck out at the single A level. He had a 286, 407, 470 slash line with 11 home runs and 17 stolen bases. Doesn't look like speed is going to be a big part of his game, even though he had those stolen bases. Fast forward to this year, his 21 age season. He was getting some helium this year. In fact, there was a lot of people saying he was going to be, a big breakout. And I think he sort of reached that level, sort of. I don't think he was the big breakout that people were expecting him to be. But overall this year, he slashed 271 with a 377 OBP and a 434 slugging percentage. He walked 78 times and struck out 88 times. So again, really good plate discipline, only striking out in 16% of his aggregate plate appearances. And he did that across high A, double A, and he had a little bit of time. Most of it was at double A, a little bit of time at triple A. So he really did move through the ranks. What I think you can expect from Juan Brito is some pretty decent power and really good plate discipline. I don't think you're going to get a lot of speed from him, but those are the makings of I think, a major league caliber second baseman.
For sure. No, I agree. Like you said, he has good plate discipline. I think he has a little bit more power than someone like Hao Yu Lee. But he's a switch hitter, so it's always a toss-up to see what that'll look like once he gets up to the majors. A lot of switch hitters tend to struggle. But man, he's, like Ross was saying, he got a little helium this year and he kind of broke out. But then he's kind of just building on what he's always done. So who knows? He'll start the year off in AAA, and they got a pretty good second baseman in Cleveland already, so might be hard to fit him in, but certainly possible. See sometime maybe next year.
Yeah, and he'll be 23. He'll be 22 years old all of next year. So he's got plenty of time to figure this out and see what Cleveland's going to do at second base. Obviously, you got the blocker there, so thank you for bringing that up. My big concern here would be the caught stealing. I'd like to know what is happening right there. He's been caught stealing 24 times, and he's stole 41 bases. That's interesting to me. Why they either are sending him still, or if he just has a free pass. Is he fast and doesn't have the timing down? I really like looking at the stolen bases stuff because I just don't understand it. Some guys are just talented at it, and some guys are slow and they're talented at it.
Well, and you got to remember, for minor leagues and prospects, they might just want them to run to learn how to steal bases, and they don't necessarily care about the results. Fangraphs grades him at a 35 speed. So obviously he's not a burner, but it might just be something in the Cleveland system where they want him to work on it.
Is that 35 out of 60?
80.
It's 80. Okay.
Yeah. Scouting scale is 20 to 80.
20 to 80. Thank you. But yeah, the power looks good. Walk ratio to strikeout ratio looks good. I don't have anything bad to say about him. I think he's a lot like Hao Yu Lee. I think he's very safe.
One thing I would add here is that he might be the victim of some bad luck too. He's got his BABIP has been pretty low, so there is potential that even though he had that kind of breakout we were talking about, that it was stunted a little bit by bad luck. So just another little tidbit to add there. We'll see a couple of those guys in here. I would say he actually doesn't project all that well by STS's standards. And some of that, of what they're seeing in his ranking, is he got bad luck. And he was 21. and he made it up to AAA. So that's promising as well.
Sure.
One last thing I would add on here is he garners a comp to a former top prospect, Lonnie Chisenhall.
Loved Lonnie. Man, Lonnie was a go-get-em for a long time.
He was known for a sweet stroke. Didn't quite turn into major league production, unfortunately.
That's a fun name to talk about. I really liked Lonnie Chisholm for a lot of years. He was also a Cleveland Indian at the time. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yep.
That's a fun one. I like it. Okay, let's dive into the next one, guys. Number eight right. Coming in on Scout the Statline's second baseman, top 10 second baseman, is going to be Luke Keaschall. I'm going to say that correctly, I believe. Keaschall. That's going to be high A affiliate for a 21-year-old, 6'1", 190 pounds. He was drafted in 2023 by the Minnesota Twins in round 2, picked 49 overall, born 8/15/2002 in Watsonville, California. He really walked through the minors this year. To tell you the truth, he only had 7 at-bats at the rookie level, and then 72 at-bats at A, and then got promoted to high A for 32 at-bats. So he had 111 at-bats throughout the year for a draftee of this year. So a pretty decent sample size, really. I mean, we usually see 49, 70 at-bats, but 111 already this year. That's a good start to his minor league career, to tell you the truth. And overall, he had 111 at-bats, averaged 288, on base 414, slugged 477, and on base plus slugging of 891, 3 home runs, 11 stolen bases, 10 doubles, 1 triple, strikeouts, 25-19 walks. It's a pretty decent start to a minor league career. Do you guys want to? He came out of Arizona State. Do you want to talk about anything that he did at Arizona State?
So I'll start there. I don't know, Ryan. Do you have anything specific to highlight from his college playing days?
No, I was looking at some of the highlights and before we got on here, and he has a little weird swing, which doesn't mean much. I mean, I'm not a swing evaluator, but it's a little goofy, which can always be panned out in the majors. But I mean, I like it, and it was working for him. This doesn't have anything to do with Arizona State, but he's more of a power speed guy that can take a walk. And I think with him walking so much in the complex league and low A this year, it's just more to do with he's an advanced college hitter. So he's, it's probably a little below his league. So when he got to high A, he kind of started taking more pitches and then swinging. Yeah. So
I like your analysis. I'd say that sounds pretty spot on, almost mimics what I would have said if I was speaking first. I think he had a pretty solid time in the NCAAs. He started at San Francisco, it looks like, in the West Coast Conference, and then transferred to Arizona State. His numbers were probably best that last year at Arizona State. He came out at just 20, which is interesting. Pretty young for a junior.
Was he a JUCO?
No, he was at San Francisco.
Okay. I didn't know if that was a JUCO.
No, they're a bigger school than a junior college anyway, but they're a small school, right? They're not
D2 is what we used to call it.
Yeah. San Francisco, not bad. Good numbers there, but he really kind of stood out this year at Arizona State. He slugged 725 for them. That's pretty impressive. And as you mentioned, power speed combo with good plate discipline, and that's kind of what we're seeing so far in the minors too, and that's also what STS is picking up on him. They project him right now, and granted, it's a small sample size, just 140 plate appearances, but they project Luke Keaschall to hit 13 home runs and 17 stolen bases with good, solid plate discipline. So that's not too bad. I just think it's a little early to get too excited. He's a second-round pick. We don't know. You know, the pedigree's not like top shelf, but it's decent. The results are decent, but not top shelf. You know, so I think we're just kind of in wait-and-see mode a little bit until we know just a little bit more. But this is a guy you want to watch, I think. I'm putting him in the he's a guy to watch category for now.
Yeah, for sure.
The Twins' second baseman is who?
We got Edouard Julien, Brian.
Oh, Julien's there. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that we had as our number one last year. When we did this top 10, he was number one. So like supplanting him is not as easy a task as I think you were thinking. But he has defensive limitations, or supposedly does. So, you know, there's a chance that if Keaschall plays better defense, that they find another position for Julien.
And Keaschall's got a big body. I mean, he's 6'1", 190. But let's not just say he's 5'8", 150 pounds running around the diamond. Maybe he's a kid that can grow into that body and move off that position. So I don't know if he'll be a second baseman, because Julien is doing very well as a second baseman.
And they also have Jorge Polanco. So I mean, they've got some guys in there that you'd have to consider. There's, you know, Carlos Correa and Royce Lewis in there, that they're all kind of jockeying for positions. But I think at the end of the day, they'll find a way to get the players that can play into the lineup. So I'm not concerned about that terribly. It's just a matter of whether it's to be believed so far in 140 plate appearances.
Sure.
I think I'm excited here. I don't want to say I'm go get him, but I am excited. This is one of those Hawkeyes that I want to talk about, that just watch him those first couple months. If he's having a big start to the year, maybe you need to go get him.
Yeah.
Agreed.
As I was looking up Luke Keaschall, I was having a tough time thinking of, you know, blockers and stuff like that. Somebody that we're going to omit tonight, and I don't believe you mentioned him, is Tyler Black.
Oh, yeah. He's at a different position. We're going to have him at third base. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. As I looked at it, I was like, we're missing Tyler Black on here.
That would be a glaring omission, I think.
Yeah, that would have been huge. He's at third.
Yeah.
Third. He was primarily a second baseman last year, so that's where the confusion probably comes in. But he was almost exclusively third base and played a little outfield this year, I think.
Okay.
That's the challenge with vetting out the positions, because I go a little bit deeper than what we have as the assigned position on STS, right? Like, I'm double checking on all these guys before we start putting together these lists. So he's one of the guys that I definitely looked at.
All right. Well, let's jump into number 7. Without further ado, number 7, we got William Bergolla. William Bergolla is a 5'11", 165-pound 19-year-old with the Single-A affiliate Phillies. He's with the Clearwater Threshers. He was born 10/20/2004 in Valencia, Venezuela. I don't have a lot on this guy, but I'll burn through his stats of this year. Yeah, he played in the DSL in 2022 for 71 at-bats, but just in 2023, He had 192 at bats. His average was 255, on base of 351, slug 286. That slugging percentage is a little bit scary. On base plus slugging is 637. 0 home runs, 2 stolen bases. He got caught 5 times, 2 doubles, 2 triples. The big one, I think both of you guys are going to point out, is his walk to strikeouts. He only had 17 strikeouts and 30 walks. So there's where your on base is way higher than your slugging. No home runs, walking a lot. Go ahead and get into it, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that stands out is, I mean, he's walking more than he's striking out, which is always good. Would like to see more stolen bases, especially for 228 plate appearances this year. Yeah. Only 2 stolen bases, which is a little off. But like I said, who knows what they wanted him to do at single A. So yeah, I'm really not too worried about that. Slugging, of course, is concerning at 286. But I'm always going to give the benefit of doubt first year over in the States, 18 years old. Jesus. Just we'll see a couple of years from now, but I mean,
yeah, he's not even a month past turning 18. He was 18 all year long stateside. So that's a very good thing to bring up. A very young kid, and he's already playing stateside. I love that, bringing that up.
So I'm looking through this. I thought he was somebody that I wrote up this year in our player highlights, and I'm not finding him. So maybe I did not write him up, but I know I at least thought about it. To me, this guy is William Bergolla is super interesting because of the things that you touched on. He was 18 years old, played the whole season at 18 at the single A level. That's an advanced assignment for an 18-year-old. Yeah. And he did it with like flat out dominating plate discipline, which you don't see very often. 0 power, no stolen bases to speak of. Like, it's bat first, even though the results were not even that inspiring, right? But the plate discipline is so advanced that it has me thinking that, we're talking about an 18-year-old kid that's 160 pounds. He's got plenty of time to fill out. He can grow in power. I think he can grow in his capabilities. So I'm really interested in him. I think he's somebody you want to keep an eye on. And in fact, STS is bumping him up in the rankings here because of perceived bad luck, right? It's his numbers and his projections, looking without regression, are not that inspiring, minus the great plate discipline. But his luck has been so bad that he's adjusted a little bit for that in the rankings. So I'm really intrigued by Bergolla, and I think that he's somebody that you don't necessarily go get right now because you got some time to wait and see. But he's definitely somebody worth being on your watch list, and I think that there's more potential here than I'm seeing with a lot of the other guys that we've already talked about, minus maybe Brito.
Maybe a Luis Ariz type.
I was going to say that as well.
Yeah,
Could you see
that? Look. Let's see.
Yeah, potentially you could see an Ariz type of outcome here.
Although Ariz never hit below. Yeah.
And there's always that potential. Well, sure. Ariz was, I don't think he was ever playing like 18 at single A. So
he was 19.
He was 19. Yeah. So I mean, there's always the potential that Bergolla taps into some power. Sure. If he doesn't, then I think we're maybe talking about a Ariz type of talent here. If he does, I mean, hold on.
Yeah,
I guess.
One thing I like to say about a profile like this is, you can gain strength, you can mature into home runs or speed even. You can't really train an eye. And right now he's got an eye that looks really, really good. Being able to hold off those, we're probably talking about 20 to 25-year-old pitchers that are in single A. It's pretty impressive what he's doing.
Yeah.
I've said this for years, and I probably too loudly, but power's usually the last thing to show up. You got a guy with a good eye, and they're showing that they can consistently hit. I think it was Mookie Betts that had 0 home runs in his first 2 seasons. And then all of a sudden, now he's a major leaguer. He was showing good bat capabilities, and all of a sudden, as a major leaguer, he's a 30 home run guy. Are we going to see that from Bergolla? That would be like, the outlier case, but it's something worth watching and making sure that you're keeping your pulse on. That's for sure.
It's better than striking out at 45% of the time.
That is correct. It is.
All right, William Bergolla, you guys. Ross was kind of a wait and see sort of thing. He's not a go.
I'm excited about him, but I don't think he's like a grab him right now. Yeah. See him fulfill some of that potential first, and then grab him if he does.
Brian?
I mean, he's probably outside the top 500 prospects that you want to be looking at, but he's interesting.
Guys, we're in a pretty deep draft right now. Is his name going to pop up here real quick?
I added him to my queue, so.
I love it. I love it.
Never should have done this podcast.
Yeah.
Can you post this tomorrow, like right on the website? Because these guys' names are going to just fly off the name.
That's right, yeah.
All right. We are numbered 6 already, guys. We are burning through it. And here he comes. Here comes the reason that I chose my beer tonight. I said, what's the plural for goose? It's geese. It's not how you pronounce his name, but this guy's name is Thomas Saggese. Ross, please say it for me because it's just stuck in my head.
Saggese. Thomas Saggese. But we've got a nickname for Saggese. Now moving forward, it's Goose.
Yep. Go get Goose.
Go Goose.
Go get Goose. So Thomas Goose Saggese was in our player highlights last year. I'm a big fan here. I think we're all going to be big fans as we start running through this. I think this name is probably on the top of everybody's heads as talking about second base prospects. If he's not, he should be. I'm a big fan. We got a 21-year-old that is with the AAA affiliate for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's 5'11", 175 pounds. He was born in 2002, drafted in 2020 by the Texas Rangers, round 5'1", pick 145 overall, out of California high school. Do you want me to break down the whole shebang, or let's just do 2023? What do you think?
Well, he was a top 10 guy for us last year. In fact, he might have been higher than he is this year, last year.
I believe he was. I believe he was number 3.
We probably focus on just this year. The numbers last year were really good, too. It's worth touching on maybe the OPS or something.
Yeah, for sure. So last year he had 401 at-bats. His OPS was 867. Strikeouts and walks, 97 strikeouts, 30 walks, 15 home runs, 12 stolen bases. Everything was right there for us last year. I was excited. We touched on it. We were excited. But this year, two different affiliates with the AA with the trade. He had 555 at bats through those 2 teams in AA, and then got the call up to AAA for another 58 at bats. But 558 at bats over the whole year. He batted .306. On-base percentage of .374, slugged .530, hit our mark of 900 with on-base plus slugging at .904, 26 home runs, 12 stolen bases, got caught stealing twice, 144 strikeouts is a little high, but he walked 52 times, 34 doubles, 6 triples. Goose. Goose is the man.
I feel like Goose has just got the it factor.
He does.
You know, I don't know what it is, but this is a guy we really liked last year, and he's still doing it this year. And for some reason, he's still slept on. He just continues to show up, and he continues to produce, and he is producing eye-popping numbers. And even I even think Scout the Statline is sleeping on him a little bit here at number 6. I think that's too low. I have him as a top 50 prospect. He ranks really high on the formulated consensus. He's the number 121 overall prospect. Like, he makes it work. The one thing that he doesn't have really going in his favor is excellent plate discipline. But he hits for average. He hits for power. He's better on the base paths than expected, and I think he's a better defender than people expect as well. So he just has the it factor, and I don't know what that is, just work ethic or what, you know. And I'm pulling that out. I don't know if he's got a great work ethic, but something seems to work really well for him. And he looks like he's built, you know, like he's just like a compact built guy. When I see him hit a dinger, it doesn't look like it's like it's barely getting out of the field. It looks like it's like he smashed that thing. So I'm a big fan of Thomas Saggese. Goose, big fan of him, and I say go get him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you can get him, that's I don't know if you're going to be buying low on him.
Maybe not buying low, but he's still underrated. That's the thing. So, I mean, to me, that is buying low. I think he's still underrated by the major publications out there.
Sure.
It would have been better to get him last year, but I don't think you're too late.
I'm not even worried about his plate discipline, because with guys that can consistently hit 300, I don't want them taking walks. I want them putting the ball in play. And he has shown a knack for it, and he's still running just below 10% walk rate. He's someone I wrote up in one of the articles, I think, for impact prospects for 2024. I can see a path to playing time, barring any free agent acquisitions by the Cardinals. But I could see him coming up in the May-June timeframe if he starts off hot in AAA.
He should be up next year. He should be up next year, no doubt.
I think he'll be one of those sneaky guys that, if in non-dynasty leagues, that you can go out and acquire early May or something for $1 or $2, and then he can be a league winner, because I think like you said, he's a baseball player. Like, you look at him and he's just a baseball player.
That's a great way to put it. I love that.
Well, and it's so, we're obviously all analytically minded here, but he's a freaking baseball player.
That's the it factor, maybe, you know?
Yeah, I'd love to quantify it, but like, when you see him play, it's just, and I've watched a few games on MLB or MILB TV and all that, and he's just a player, man. I love him.
Well, it's funny that you say that. Obviously, we're looking for prospects and stuff like that, but I'll kind of catapult off what you just said. I've watched a couple games too, and he stands out on the field.
Yeah.
Like, you know that he's the best player on the field.
Sure.
And that's pretty neat. And it doesn't even have to be an impact player or something like that. It could be a routine ground ball that he tosses underhand over to first. And I'm like, that's the best player on the field. He just looks the part, and then the stats prove it.
Yeah, I love it. Go get Thomas Saggese. Go get Goose. Go get him.
Goose. We got to get Goose on this podcast.
He should, Brian, get after it. Come on, we need Goose out here.
He looks like he'd drink a beer with us.
For sure.
Is he 21 yet? Yes, he is. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, he'll be 22 in April.
Well, that's another. He's so damn young too, and he's already AAA.
Yeah, and I think we all are in agreement that he'll be in the major leagues next year at 22 years old.
Yep.
Go get him. All right. We're in the top 5 already, guys. Burning through it. Top 5. Scout the Statline second basemen. Next one's going to be a fun one as well. I think this is going to be somebody that we all say he's go get him. And that is going to be Carlos Jorge. Carlos Jorge is with the High A affiliate with the Cincinnati Reds. They're still doing it. The Reds have a good something going. I don't know what it is about the Reds right now, but they're on fire. Their major league club is looking promising. Ross is probably going to tell me that they're going to blow it. But he's 5'10", 160 pounds. He's age 20. He won't be 21 until the later parts of next year, but he is already at the High A affiliate for the Reds. In 2023, he's had 386 at-bats. He has batted .282 with an on-base of .374, slugged .464 with an on-base plus slugging of .838. He has 32 stolen bases, only caught 9 times, 12 home runs to add on top of that. He struck out 100 times, walked 52, 14 doubles, 10 triples, which you start hitting double-digit triples, and you kind of got to keep an eye on it and say, what the heck's going on here? Is he a speed guy, or is he just hitting it into the gap in the perfect spot and then being able to get around the bases? I like triples. I think they turn into home runs really easily. But guys, go at it. Carlos Jorge for the Reds.
It's an interesting one because I actually think that triples are less likely than doubles to turn into home runs.
Are they just gappers?
I agree.
I think it's more of an indication of speed, which is interesting I mean, there's hitting that's involved too. You're not going to be dinking that thing off and getting a triple most times, right? And I think there's like a interesting comp. This is not an STS comp, but as you're quoting those stats, the name that comes to mind to me is like Curtis Granderson. Sure. He was the kind of guy that did that. He hit for pretty decent power. He was pretty decent on the base paths and triples, man. He was getting triples because he has that nice combination of things. And I don't know exactly what Carlos Jorge does like extremely well. By all reports I've read and heard from people that are very smart, he's not exactly a burner. And he doesn't hit the ball with
authority.
Well, he doesn't have like high exit velocity numbers and stuff like that. So it's not like he's a masher either, but the combination of those skills seems to work really well. And he's got 32 stolen bases. So maybe not a burner, but like he's fast enough. He clearly is, or he's got great instincts. And seeing him, he looks athletic. He looks like he's a very athletic guy to me. Like he just has it. And maybe that's kind of like the Curtis Granderson style of build, just athletic. He's just an athlete, can kind of do it all.
Sure.
And maybe it's the totality of parts in this case that makes him the player that he is, and it doesn't need to be exceptional in any one area. But I'm really interested. I'm intrigued. The one red flag is that he did struggle quite a bit when he moved up to High A compared to how he was performing. So that's something you want to watch. It doesn't mean it's a huge concern, but it means like he was getting challenged a little bit more and he wasn't quite playing up to that level anymore. But we are also talking about a guy with nearly 800 plate appearances and great numbers across the board. I think you have to open your eyes on Carlos Jorge, stop being a hater, and start accepting there's something here that works. I mean, and I say that very pointedly because there are some people that they've pointed out these things, not high exit velocities. He's not a burner on the base paths. He's not this. He's not that. And it's like, okay, but something is working here. It's not a small sample anymore. And he's done it consistently throughout his career. So open your eyes, accept that there's something here that's working, and make sure you watch it closely going into next year. He's not going to be easy to obtain, so I don't know that he's a full-fledged go get him at this point, but like, yeah, I'd be trying to acquire him, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have much to add. He's already 20. I'll be interested. I'm going to pay close attention to him beginning of next year, just to see how he does in high A. Because if he might just be, well, we don't want to. He's a young guy. Jesus. Who knows?
He's already 20. He's old.
No. Right. I can't believe. Yeah.
Sell high. No. Yeah. Okay. Two more things to point out here that I think are really interesting. He has some of the best projections for power speed combo on STS, projecting for 20 home runs and 25 stolen bases. That's really good. Really good. You can get a 2020 Jose Ramirez type of talent here, according to those numbers anyway. And he draws a comp to Ryan Sandberg, which is awesome. Yeah, you'd want that guy, no doubt. So Carlos Jorge, I like him.
Yeah, just to kind of trampoline off Ryan again, we have a player that is going to be 20 years old all of next year, and he's going to be playing at high A. There's a really good chance that we're going to have a 20-year-old in double A at this player. There's a really good chance that he's going to – I say that a really good chance and not say that it's an absolute bank, because the Reds do have some players. The Reds have some players in their farm system that could be not quite necessarily blocking him, but maybe the Reds want to see somebody above him. I like what the Reds have done as an organization in the past, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years. They've done some really good things. So Carlos, I would be watching this really closely in the early seasons, because this could be a really quick call up to double A.
Well, and I think this is a really interesting case to watch and compare to Hao Yu Lee this year, because Hao Yu Lee didn't make that jump to the double A level, right? Sure. And so, and with Carlos Jorge's small taste at high A, you have to wonder if, he's going to have some, an adaptation period there or not. If he doesn't, then, you want to be on him. Yeah. You want to be on him. If he does, then we might be looking at a Hao Yu Lee type of trajectory going into 2025.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
These kids got to learn, right? At double A, at 20 years old, you're playing against major leaguers that are coming off of injuries. And that's why I love double A stats so much, is you're playing against guys that are just starting to warm up to go back up to the pros.
Yep. Worth mentioning, his ETA is 2026 on STS.
I'll put it a year above 2025 or 4. Yeah, 5.
Okay, so that would put him at 21.
21 years old in the pros.
That's pretty good.
For me, he's a go get him. I like Carlos Jorge a lot.
I think I probably could endorse a go get him too, because I don't think he's overrated by anyone. In places, he's probably not even a top 100 prospect, some places. So it just depends on the owner in this situation, in my opinion.
Yep. There it is. Carlos Jorge. We're going to dive into the next guy. Top 4. Great mustache. Great mustache on this guy. And we got Davis Schneider. Davis Schneider is a 24-year-old with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's the second baseman, 5'9", 190 pounds. He is a little bit older. He has made his debut. He was drafted in 2017 by the Blue Jays in round 28, pick 849 out of high school, Eastern Voorhees, New Jersey. I wonder if that's where the Friday the 13th came from. You're over in that area, Voorhees.
I have no idea. New Jersey's a far way away.
I'm just gonna turn this one over to Ryan completely because he's the Davis Schneider stan in this group, and I want to hear what he has to say.
I mean, he's like Saggese. He's just a ball player, man. I did find it interesting. I forgot when I originally was writing him up for one of my articles that he did spend 3 years in the rookie league, just plowing away, and he was always overlooked because he was a 28th round pick, and even the Blue Jays front office admittedly said that we never gave him a chance because he was such a low round pick. But eventually, you have to start looking at production, and they finally did this year. And it paid off for him. I think he had one of the best first 100 plate appearances or something for a rookie ever.
Yeah.
He's just I don't know long term if he'll be a top 150 player. He might be hovering around there. I don't know if he'll ever get a true starting role. He might just be a utility man, which is, I mean, in today's MLB, that's always useful because they usually play still every day, just different position, which is better for fantasy, quite honestly. But yeah, I don't know. He did struggle a little bit down the stretch, striking out, but I think when all is said and done, he's still a good ball player, and I think he can crack 20 home runs with 10 stolen bases or something while having a respectable average in OBP. He's always had a good eye, even when he wasn't hitting as much. So that's something that can kind of buoy him to relativity in fantasy.
Yeah.
I love it, Ryan. This was your guy. You touted him early, and you pushed him. How did you come across Davis Schneider?
Oh, so he was my weekly article series that I do for you. He popped up a couple times, and I was like, well, I'll take a look at him because I never heard of this guy. And usually you see a 24-year-old in Double A, and you're like, I mean, okay, that is cool, but that's par for the course for 24-year-olds. They should be handling Double A quite well. But then he got promoted to Triple A, and you pay a little bit more attention. And so I decided to write him up because it's like, man, he's hammering the crap out of the ball, and the Blue Jays just aren't calling him up, and they're still running out Santiago Espinal. And it's like, there's got to be a spot for him. So I think it was late day or something. I said to go out and get him just because eventually a major league team has to see this and be like, all right, well, let's give him a chance. And they eventually did. And there he went.
Stroke of genius. And in fact, I think it helps highlight the strengths of using the STS system.
Well,
but also the stroke of genius, you get this guy, and if you were reading Ryan's article, please go read Ryan's articles. You probably boost your chances of winning your league significantly. This guy's a league winner. This is the type of guy that's a league winner, right?
Down the stretch, he's for sure.
Yeah, pretty incredible stuff. Pretty incredible. Yeah. And what I see in his profile, just to add to what you've already said, is it looks like a profile that can stick.
Right.
He's a major league hitter to me, with pretty good power and probably some sneaky speed in there. Mm-hmm. But it looks like something that can stick to me. I totally believe that. Is he going to be a superstar? I don't know that I think that, but could he have won you your league this year? Absolutely. So,
right.
Yeah, good stuff. Really good stuff.
This one, I'm going to be the Debbie Downer on this one. This one screams to me a super utility player that's going to play first, second, third. I don't think he'll have some outfield spots, but first, second, third, filling in for Biggio and Santiago Espinal, I think is how you say his name. And then when Vlad's kind of being Vlad, the one big thing, and this is
Vlad being Vlad. I like that one.
Yeah. The other side of this is I have a prospect that I've owned forever that I think is better than Schneider, and that's Otto Lopez. I think he's gonna be a block for Schneider. That's just my opinion.
Is Otto Lopez eligible?
He got hurt. He was hurt all year.
Well, was he eligible? He was definitely eligible for ranking. I don't see him in the top 10 though, Brent.
No, he's got to be in like the top 100 of second baseman because he was hurt and he struggled. Just letting you know, my
all
guys.
the names you could have pulled as a blocker, you pulled Otto Lopez out there.
I'm just letting you guys know what I feel. I like David Schneider, and I think he's actually going to be a semi-everyday player. It's just never going to be at the same position. But I see him bouncing all over the place, which is going to be awesome.
Right, that's awesome for fantasy.
Yeah, of course, because he's going to have the tags first, second, third, short. You know, probably not short, but because of Bichette. But yeah, first, second, third. It's going to be great and huge value there.
Yeah, I would stand by what I said. Where I don't know that I feel like he's going to be a star player, but like he is a league winner this year.
Yeah, well, and he's someone you need on. His profile is what you need to be on to field a competitive team where you can stick him in your corner infielder, middle infield spot, and just set and forget it.
Yep, and then when he lights it up and he does finally get a position that is all time, like Ryan just gave you a winner. I was just giving you guys my opinion. You wouldn't let me finish, but fine, whatever. What do I know? I'm just the host.
The big takeaway is read Ryan's articles. All right, that's what it comes down to.
I'm here to play the devil's advocate too. Okay, fellas.
Yeah.
May very well be right in the end. Minus the Otto Lopez part.
It's a solid profile. It's a solid profile, and obviously the Blue Jays love it right now. You know, so they're going to give him every ample opportunity to prove what he did last year wasn't false.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Ryan, you need to fix that stupid park.
They do have that weird corridor in left field.
They're sapping Vladdy's power for whatever reason, man. I just don't understand.
It's like an extra 20 feet in that weird corridor with the overhanging.
Yeah.
It's very odd. It's cool looking. I've never been there. I can't say that, but I would imagine in person that place has got to look terribly weird.
Time to trade him, I guess. Trade. Let's go.
Just get him off. Get Vlad the Baconator off of the bacon, and it'll be just fine.
No, he's vegan.
It's an inside joke. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Inside jokes don't work.
That doesn't work on here.
Come on, get it together.
Okay.
All right, let's get into the top three, man. We got three more to go.
Yep, 3 more to go. ScoutTheStatline.com. Top 3 second baseman. I apologize. Another one of my favorites, and I talked about him a little bit earlier with the Detroit Tigers. This is Hao Yu Lee's blocker, and it's going to be Jace Jung. Jace Jung is, of course, the younger brother of
Josh.
I apologize. Josh Jung. Second baseman for the Detroit Tigers. He's 23 years old. He's 6 foot tall, 205 pounds. Born 10/4 2000 in San Antonio, Texas. Drafted in round 1, pick 12 overall out of Texas Tech, and he did have a little bit of a struggle this year at the beginning of the year, but man, did he turn it on.
He had a back problem.
Yeah, he was struggling with an injury issue early on in the season, and it was low at one point. It was like a 220 average.
Yeah.
It was brutal, and he pumped it all the way up to 284 by the end of the year. He had 486 at bats. 265 average overall between high A and double A, on base percentage of 376, slugged 502, and hit a pretty good mark of 878. That double A number was actually at 936. He had 14 home runs in high A. He also had 14 home runs in double A for 28 overall. 5 stolen bases at high A, didn't have any stolen bases, but that's probably in double A, but that's probably to keep him healthy. That was probably just chill out. It's fine. You don't need to run the base pass. 27 doubles and 2 triples. 139 strikeouts, 79 walks. He's showing good plate discipline. If he's anything like his brother, and I thought his brother was going to be, and he probably could have been the rookie of the year, but he ended up getting hurt towards the end of the year. Also won a World Series. Like, if he's anything like his brother, which I think he's just as good, he's going to be awesome.
It's interesting because I actually thought Jace Jung was going to be the better of the two.
Yeah.
Coming out of college.
Still
now I'm seeing that they're very similar. I think they're very similar, which I didn't expect. I thought we were going to see something a little different from Jace Jung. He does have a little bit better plate discipline, I think, but they're both sort of streaky power hitters. That's what I'm seeing in the numbers, and that's what I've seen from Josh Jung. And you're right, health plays a role for sure in their production, which it does for everybody. But sometimes players can kind of get by and disguise it or whatever, and I think it's pretty obvious with these two.
Yeah, no, for sure. I saw a lot of Jace at Double A this year. I think I saw 6 or 7 games sitting behind home plate, and I paid attention to his at bats a lot, obviously. And I think he can be better than his brother. He has good command of the zone. I know he ran a 26% strikeout rate, but when I was watching him, he commands the zone pretty well. And what stood out to me, it was one of the last games. It was against Paul Skeens when Skeens came to Erie, and Jace Jung, I think, took him 8 or 9 pitches deep into the count and then roped a double off a 100-mile-an-hour fastball on his hands. And, I mean, that stood out to me. You don't see that often. He went the other way, went with the ball, and I like the profile.
I agree with you. I think he's got the better plate discipline of the brothers, for sure. But what I'm surprised about is, like, it seems like they have the same kind of power approach. And I think Jace Jung maybe has equivalent power or close to it.
Sure.
So that's not what I was not expecting that. I was expecting him to be a little more of a gap hitter, like higher average, better plate discipline. But I think he's better plate discipline, similar power. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to watch those two's careers. Really will be.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's going to be one hell of a rivalry between brothers here. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Jace Jung, he's got a clear shot to Detroit, and I would not be shocked at all if he doesn't see any minor league at bats next year. If he starts off instantly in the MLB.
Yeah,
I would be surprised, but I could see that possibility for sure.
Especially what Detroit's got going on in their middle infielders. They have a very high-priced person in there that has no business being on the field. I'll keep that to myself. Jace Jung, go get him. Yeah?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm going to say I think he's appropriately ranked here. I have Saggese higher, and I think Saggese is typically, I think Goose is typically ranked lower by most publications. I could be wrong on that. I think he probably is. So I don't know that I want to say a full-fledged go get him. I think the price has to be right. He's a good player.
I think you brought up a good point. I have Goose just a touch higher than Jace Jung. And that's coming from a Tigers fan. So, if you extrapolate that a little bit, he's probably quite a bit higher than my fandom on Jace Jung.
All right. Okay. So we're kind of in agreement, I guess.
All right. Next one.
You have to be there. Jace Jung he came in with a lot of expectations to begin with.
Yeah.
The next one that we're going to talk about, and this is going to be a complete unknown for me.
No idea.
Cool. We're all going to be on the same page. This is going to be a complete unknown, something that we can all peel our eyes back on and hear his name maybe for the first time. And his name is going to be Jeral Perez. Jeral Perez is with a rookie affiliate with of course, the Dodgers, so they're going to turn him into gold. He's 19 years old. He's a second baseman, 6 foot tall, 179 pounds. He was born November 6th, 2004 in the Dominican Republic. He did get stateside. So this is another exciting one that got stateside before they were 20 years old, which it's got to be a major league push, right? Yes, of course, we're going to see the DSL numbers, but to get stateside before you're 20 is a real eye opener because it doesn't happen. It probably happens a lot more than I realize, but when your name is getting put out on the stats, it's pretty impressive. So he was with the DSL rookie affiliate for the Dodgers last year, batted .278, on-base percentage of .371, slugged .500, and on-base plus slugging of .871, 8 home runs, 5 stolen bases, and then started off at the rookie level stateside, right? Is the ACL is stateside, am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so came stateside for 179 at bats for an average of 257, 389 on base, and 503 slugging with an on base plus slugging of 892, and then got a call up to single A affiliate for 21 at bats. And he only batted 238, but the biggest thing that we always try to hammer home when we're talking about these younger gentlemen that are from overseas is they're stateside. Man, that's a big deal that you're stateside. It means that the coaching staff actually wants you to be in front of them. Does that make any sense?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. And I want to roast you a little bit, Brian. ACL is Arizona Complex League.
I thought it was AZL was Arizona Complex League.
It used to be called AZ. That's okay. How they used to call the rookie league before the Complex League started. Yeah, anyway.
That's what threw me off was not seeing that Z. I seen the C and then I got confused.
Yeah, well, I just had to roast you a little bit. Jeral Perez, we got to talk about this guy a little bit because you're right. You touched on most of it. He's young. He made it all the way to single A. He hit with a lot of power. He showed really good plate discipline for a youngster. Strikes out a little bit more than I would like, but it's within acceptable range, especially for an 18-year-old pushing up to higher levels of the low minors anyway. Most of his time was spent at the rookie level. That's worth mentioning. But with STS, he projects for substantial power, I guess. His scout grade equivalency for his power tool is 75, which is among the tops in the minor leagues. And he's projecting for 37 home runs per 600 plate appearances. And it's worth noting that he's done this with probably some bad luck at play. So again, he gets boosted a little bit from that, like very low BABIP numbers for what you expect from a guy like him. So yeah, it's a good start, and the numbers might even play up a little bit, but it's still too small of a sample for me to make much of a stance with conviction. And that's kind of where I sit on Jeral Perez. He's our number 2 here, and that makes him super interesting. But am I going to get him right now? No. I'm keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, for sure. You have to at least give him another year before he's seriously considered for top 500 prospects, at least.
And this is what SDS is trying to do, like tip you off to these guys to keep an eye on sometimes. Anyway, continue, Ryan.
For sure. But no, I mean, I echo a lot of the same things you said. He shows intriguing blend of power and speed and good eye. I don't mind his strikeout rate as much as you, I don't think. Low 20s.
Strikeouts.
That's active. Low 20s I'm never going to be too afraid of, especially with the walk rate. But that could just be he's more passive at the plate right now. And as he gets older and sees more pitches, he might be a tad more aggressive and that strikeout rate might go up. Who knows? He's 18 years old. We'll check in a year or two.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the biggest telling story right there is when he got called up to Single A affiliate, he had 6 strikeouts and 5 walks in 21 at bats. To me, that tells me that he wasn't intimidated. Just going out there and be like, I'm gonna try to rocket launch this thing out of here. He was like, okay, I'll let you walk me. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's a telling sign. If that was 6 strikeouts and 0 walks, maybe I'd say, okay, he's smaller than the moment. To me, that 21 at bats, he's playing bigger than the moment.
Sure.
I like that. Yeah.
Tiny sample size, though. Once again, just keep an eye on it. See what happens.
Guy you might want to add to your rosters early next year.
Yeah.
Take note right now.
So here he is, fellas. Number 1. Number 1 second baseman by Scout the Statline's projections. And I think we all know this one. I mean, if you've been paying attention for the past 2 years, you better know this name. Because he was even in the draft, like the draft analysts, the talking heads, they were like, Termarr Johnson is going to be big time. But here he is. Termarr Johnson with the high A affiliate with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's 5'8", 175 pounds, highly touted 19-year-old out of high school Mays, Atlanta, Georgia. Drafted 2022, round 1, pick 4 overall. I don't remember off the top of my head the 3 that went before them, and I should because it was a major talking point. Maybe you guys can clue me in on that.
Rushman was 1.
Was Rushman 1?
Yeah.
We had Rushman. Termarr that year, he was
Drew Jones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This was the next year. It wasn't.
Yeah, next year. No, Rushman was
1. We had Jackson Holiday number 1.
Yep. Drew Jones 2.
Drew Jones number 2, and then
another outfielder, another super athletic outfielder. Who?
Did we get a college player?
Super athletic outfielder. He was another second generation. And I should know this off the top of my head.
No, I feel like we got a. What year was this? I'm going to just mess up.
2022. As Ross is looking up that, I'm not going to speak about 2022 because he was in the low minors for 63 at bats. But this year in 2023, he hit single A and then high A. He had 349 at bats. He batted 244, on base plus slugging of 422, and a slugging percentage of 438 with an on base plus slugging of 860. He had 18 home runs, 13 came at low A, and then 10 stolen bases, 7 came at low A. Termarr Johnson is an athletic freak, and I know that for a fact. Who was the other one? I see you queuing at me.
Well, I think you were thinking of Elijah Green, but it wasn't him. It was a surprise pick of Kumar Rocker that year, because that was after he recovered from injury. The Rangers.
And he didn't sign.
Yeah. No, he did sign. He didn't sign. He didn't sign the first time he was drafted.
Yeah, by the Mets.
Okay.
And then he got hurt after signing with the Rangers.
Yeah.
So.
Is he still with the Mets? Did he?
No, he's with the Rangers.
He's with the Rangers.
He's with the Rangers. Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize. Termarr Johnson.
He's going to be pretty good when he's finally healthy. Hopefully.
We'll see.
So Termarr Johnson, he had 120 strikeouts and 101 walks as well. Athletic freak. I'm telling you, he's an athletic freak that is turning into a baseball player.
For sure. And he, a lot of articles came out about him, how he is obsessed with his swing, and he just seems to love baseball from every article I've ever read about him, which does play a part. I mean, he came in to the draft as someone who had good hit ability, but maybe not so much power. So it's kind of been a shock to Pirates fans like myself when he came in and he started crushing a bunch of home runs this year with a low average. But I think it's really intriguing because with him being so obsessed with his swing and his approach, I think he can be a superstar. And I mean, that's what the algorithms telling us with him being number one. His eye is next level. He's going to have strikeouts, of course. But, I mean, I think he can be not a Ozzy Albies type, but close to that. I really think so.
Yeah, super interesting one. We had a conversation, Brian, me and you, on the Bats and Stats podcast early last year with Drew Wheeler when he was on. We talked about Termarr Johnson in depth and how he was a different player than what we expected him to be.
Right.
And not as a bad thing necessarily, just different. And to me, that was really hard for me to grapple with at first, because I was like, okay, this is a hitter that doesn't hit well, but it turns out he's kind of more of an on base. I don't want to call him a power hitter, but like he's got a lot more power than I think was anticipated right out of the gate. So it's just different. Excellent approach at the plate. I think the bat is probably there, but it hasn't been showing up tremendously. And even, even if you adjust for unlucky BABIPs, it's not like out of this world looking. But better power than expected and just a really good plate approach. Really good plate approach. Strikeouts are a little higher, but they're not out of the realm of what can be sustained. So, this is a guy that's going to be an effective player, and STS sees that. They see that even if it isn't glaringly obvious in the numbers when you're looking at a 244 batting average. If you get stuck on that, you're going to miss out on Termarr Johnson because you can't get past something that misses the complete player. So there's a little bit more to him here, but it's a different kind of player than you might expect too.
Other than the eye, which the eye is, it's there. His batting approach is there and everything. But right now at high A affiliate, I think he's blowing people away with his athleticism, and that's why you're seeing the home runs there, and kind of being shocked by that. Just a little bit. Yeah, the average isn't there, but I think he's just an athletic freak, and he's able to get that ball, get his bat around off his shoulders to be able to connect on those home runs. Yeah, the average isn't there yet, but I think he's starting to become that player to start lifting that average up. I think it's just all athleticism, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does, but that's not what we came to expect.
Right.
Like that's not what it sounded like he was going to be like when he got drafted 4th overall by the Pirates. It sounded like he was going to be a very polished hitter, and everybody else was raw.
Yeah.
Everybody else was the raw talent, athletic guys, and we're just seeing something very different. I don't disagree with him being I probably wouldn't put him as my number 1 second baseman. He's close. He might be the number 1 for me. I'd have to double check that.
I think I had Saggese number 1 and him too.
I think I had Goose as well.
You did? Okay.
I think I do.
Termarr, where are you, buddy?
With that, Ryan, you being a Pirates fan and all, are you...
I have Termarr Johnson as my number 1, actually.
Yeah. Are you concerned at all that they have so many infielders in the Pirates organization? No?
No, it's a non-factor.
Non-factor? Okay.
No. All those guys in the organization are just they're guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Juan Brito might turn into a decent second baseman, but they shipped off Rodolfo Castro. He's gone, and then there's really no one else.
So I was thinking of Nick Gonzalez and O'Neill, and then O'Neill Cruz, and
O'Neill might. I mean, yeah. I still think he's a shortstop long term.
Okay.
I think he can still play even with his ankle.
Yeah.
And when he didn't look out of place at shortstop. I mean, Ellie De La Cruz has certainly shown that you can play shortstop and being 6'7". It's not out of, and Corey Seager's 6'6" or 6'7" too. So I mean, he's athletic enough to stay there, but his long-term role might be in the corner outfield, which is whatever. But no, I don't think all the infield prospects. Nick Gonzalez is not what we thought. Yeah. I mean, he's
really liked him too.
Yeah, I was a big fan.
I really liked him coming.
He was a polished bat that you thought he'll spend a year and a half in the minors and we'll be up and hit 280 with a couple dozen home runs. But that's just not. He kind of just went off the rails and struck out 35% of the time.
Turns out baseball's hard,
Yeah.
We're in the pros. He can still figure it out. I'm still not off the bandwagon of Nick Gonzalez.
He's had his moments. I think he can be a good player. He can be a good role player. Yeah. But what's interesting to me about Johnson is I almost wonder if he. I don't even know if this makes sense, but I wonder if he's too good for the low-level minor pitching.
I think I know what you're trying to say. Like the smart kid in second grade, he was bored, so he was getting D's.
Right, and
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of like Roman Anthony earlier this year when he was in, I think, just single A, and he was hitting 212 or something. And then they bumped him up to high A, and all of a sudden he just took off like a rocket ship. I don't know. I'm just
I actually
was a Pirates fan.
I like
he had a slow start and he was on fire. I think that was in the early second half. Like he was consistently on the top of our hot list for a while. So, I don't know. Maybe something just finally clicked too. I don't really know what it is, but like I think he's earned his spot right now. That's what I think.
And this is his first real taste of having to adjust, I think. So everybody deals with it differently.
That's true.
I really like what Ryan's trying to say in that point is maybe Termarr is expecting a 96 mile an hour fastball and it's only coming in at 94. And he's just not quite barreling it, and he wants that uptick in velocity. I get what Ryan's kind of trying to get at. Is he's a
I get that, but he's never seen those. He's never seen.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
That would be suggesting he already knew something that was better than that, and I don't see that.
I like the thought of it.
He's still got to go to the major leagues. He's going to be facing the real pitchers eventually,
Yeah, and that 2 mile an hour, it's gone.
He's got to learn. He's got a little bit more learning to do. But I'm rooting for TJ. Let's go. Not Tommy John, Termarr Johnson.
Obviously, this is a go get him, right?
I mean, it's all about price again.
Yeah.
We're looking at a value perspective, the 4th overall pick in the draft, and now he's living up to the billing. The numbers are low enough that you might be able to buy low.
Awesome.
So yeah, I would say from that perspective, yes. But like, I doubt there's a lot of owners that are going to be selling him for cheap.
Yeah, it'd be a hard sell.
Yeah.
The show.
Yeah,
well, with that, guys, that is scoutthestatline.com's top 10 second baseman. Ryan, I really appreciate you coming on. Ross, thank you as always. Myself, I hope everybody knows me by now. If not, I'm Brian as always. There it is, fellas. Have a good one.
See you guys.
See ya.